morning, BadBoyHalo.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Did you just say thank you with the voice of someone still in bed at 5 p.m.?
Hi.
Do you want to do the show, yes or no?
After my nap.
What do you mean after your nap? You just woke up! I'm giving you the time of the introduction to get ready, and that's it.
The Weirdest Talk Show, where we talk about... What do we talk about again?
Oh yeah, we choose a subject, but we don't choose the position we're gonna debate.
The Weirdest Talk Show. Almost every Thursday, but most of the time on other days at 5 p.m. EST on Only Hit.
And here we go, we are live.
Hi. How
Welcome.
is everybody doing? Welcome to the Debate Podcast. This is going to be a spicy one, and guess who we have as our special guest? George! Say hi to everybody, George. He's making a return. No, I don't mean like hi to everyone. I mean like hi to everyone.
I say everyone.
No, okay, whatever. Anyway, here we go. So we've got George here, and we have a pretty good topic for you guys today. I think you guys are gonna like this. Okay, it's gonna be a little controversial, but I think regardless,
You've been saying this for the past 20 episodes.
No. I just actually had. No, we can't do that. I just had an idea for a topic, but we'll save it for a future episode. We'll come back to that later. Anyway, so here we go, guys. The topic for today. Got some spicy meatballs. You guys are going to like this one, okay? It is people... Hey, Mr. Snorri Muffin. But it is people should not be allowed to live alone. Bum, bum, bum. So, essentially, the two countering positions on this one, which I think this is going to be a prime topic for like an actual good debate that'll have some interesting social ramifications. It's gonna maybe be a little bit spicy, a little bit sad. We'll see where it takes us. But essentially, it would be that there would be a law passed mandating that you are not allowed to live alone. Basically, you have to either have a roommate, live in a house, a location with other people, sharing your living space. Will be very specific. Doesn't mean you have to have a roommate in your room. Just you have to have a shared living space of some kind. Okay, in that you can't just have a house all to yourself or an apartment all to yourself. Okay, all right. This is gonna be interesting. I think. What do you think, George? Do you think this is gonna be an interesting topic?
We'll have to wait and see. You never know. It could be the most interesting topic of all time.
I think we will have to wait and see. No, you're just gonna stop there and leave me hanging? Okay. Anyway, all joking aside, here we go. We are going to begin this topic. So, first things first, for anyone who's never showed up to the debate show, how it works is we're going to pick the topic randomly. One of us will be in favor of it.
Randomly.
The position, sorry. One of us will be in favor of it, and one of us will be opposed to it. And then we randomly pick that, and anything we say from that point on is not our actual position or our actual views. It's just a part of the show. Our goal is to make you guys support the side that we support, or to get you to think we're doing the best job defending our argument, because we're going to have a poll at the end and you guys get to vote on who you felt defended their argument the best, not necessarily who you like the most. You ready to go, George?
I'm ready. Do we need to like pick the side?
Yep, we're going to pick the side. So
okay.
Heads or tails for, we'll say, being in favor of this new law that people should not be allowed to live alone. Heads or tails?
I will be heads.
All right, so Siri says heads. Then you are in favor of this law. If Siri says tails, I will be in favor of the law.
Okay.
Here we go. Hey Siri, flip a coin. Oh my goodness, come on, Siri. Hey Siri, flip a coin.
You have to say please.
Heads.
Heads.
Wait,
That was really clear. Heads. Like there's no heads or tails sound or coin sound or anything. It's just heads.
Heads.
Almost like he had the pre-recording ready to go.
Oh, you won't play that game. I'm willing to flip it one more time if you don't trust me.
No, that's fine.
That's what I thought. So shut your mouth. Anyway, here we go. Are you ready?
So I'm in favor.
You are in favor of the law that people are not allowed to live alone. Okay. You have to share an apartment, share a house. I am against this law. I think people should be allowed to live alone if they want to. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Do you want to open and go first, or should I go first?
I want you to go first.
You want me to go first? All right. So remember, in the opening argument section, we're not necessarily supposed to address each other. We're just necessarily saying our opening arguments. All right. Here we go. So, hello, everybody. First off, I want to say that I am against this proposed law, this proposed bill, that people should be required to live with someone else. Okay? I think we can all think of a dozen reasons why this should be the case. One of the most important reasons, which I will be touching on as we go, is privacy. Okay? Privacy in that people do not want to have someone living in their house or living in their space sometimes. Sometimes people just want to have their space to themselves. You don't want to have someone, maybe someone you don't know or someone you don't really know that well. Oh, government says you got to live with someone, and now you got this person just living, and that could make some people feel insecure. Some people be worried about their privacy. Bunch of different reasons. I think that alone, despite there being some benefits, is enough that I think this is a stupid idea.
Was that it?
Yep, go ahead.
Wait, just to summarize, it's just about privacy.
Those are my opening arguments. Go.
Okay.
Remember, you're not supposed to address my arguments.
Okay.
You're just making a case for your position.
Arguments. Okay.
Go.
So obviously
You're taking a long time, George.
Okay,
Are you trying to think
stop.
still?
No.
You need a minute?
Listen.
Okay, go.
So the law that people should should not be allowed to people should not be allowed to live alone. Okay, so I'm not allowed to address your one. Okay, so I have to come up with new stuff. Okay, so
George, you have done this before.
It was a while ago. It was a while ago. Okay, so people should not be allowed to live alone. That makes complete sense, Bad. So if you live on your own, you're actually susceptible to many problems that would not be the case if you lived with other people. So when you live on your own, let's say you want to go somewhere, okay? Oh, look, your house is now completely empty and a target for thieves, okay? If you lived with someone, then there will be someone at home to protect all your stuff. So it's good because that means you won't get robbed as often. And also, living on your own, it can be boring and not much to do. If you were forced to live with someone, then you will be happier as a result. Now, you talked about privacy. So you can live with people and still have privacy. It's not like they're forcing you to always be together. There's rooms in houses. You can have even locks on your own door, which people do have, because there are people that live with people they don't know and they just have locks on their doors, and that can be fine. So being forced to live with other people is an overall good idea because we will become safer, happier, and living with someone else can promote good stuff.
And
All right, I assume you're done.
Yes.
All
My
right,
perfect
so
argument has come to a close.
your argument is good stuff. All right, George, you almost convinced me just by the fact that the idea of you living alone is horrifying, and you obviously need a caretaker. So no, but in all seriousness, we're getting into the main part of the debate show where we.
I have a question, just George.
So,
during your argument, did your brain do this sound? I'm sorry, but that's exactly what I thought of.
George. It's okay. George.
Yes.
So your whole thing is you need someone at home to protect your stuff.
Your
Have you
whole
heard
thing
of
was just
locks,
privacy.
George?
Your whole thing was just privacy. That's
Have you
stupid
heard
as
of
well.
locks, though?
Yes,
My concern is
locks
no,
can be broken. Well, you think? Look, listen. You think every person that gets robbed just left their house unlocked?
I'm sure some of them left their house in an unsecure state, but your
Well,
whole
actually,
thing
I know
is,
in America,
your
I
whole
don't
thing
know.
is don't exist.
In a-
you need
and no,
as if
no,
having
no.
someone in your house is
No.
going to stop
You're
you. There are
talking-
people who have their houses robbed
No, you're putting words
while
in my
they're
mouth.
home.
You're putting words in my
George.
mouth. I'm not implying
No, that was
locks
your
are
whole
a thing.
shtick.
No, because people get robbed even when they have locks, but it's a lot less likely to get robbed when people are home.
Okay, while that is true, people still get robbed when they're home. So the point is,
That is
simply
true,
having something
But
in your
if
home
you have people at home,
is not
you can
a
actually
deterrent.
protect yourselves better. If you're just one little muffin in your house and some guy tries to rob you and you're caught off guard, it's a 1v1 and you're caught off guard and they've probably got some kind of natural advantage, you know, like they've just got the element of surprise, probably gonna lose and they're just gonna take you for all your muffins. But if you have someone with you, then you are much more protected and you can defend yourself.
So having somebody at home that can be a victim, because if everybody has people at home, then the robbers are just going to have to rob the houses with people in them, aren't they? They're going to go, well,
Well, this will
everybody's
put
got
an end
people
to
in their
robbing.
house. No, it's not going to put an end to robbing, because even if you have someone living in your house, doesn't mean they're going to be in your house 24/7. What, you're just going to have your roommate just home? Hey, roomie, I'm going to work. I know you have a job too, but just stay home. We got to keep our place from being robbed. we don't have locks because we can't afford them.
Well, okay,
so
we're
just stay
talking about
here.
my
We're
points
good.
a lot, but your point was just privacy, which is also
Yeah, which is a
very
genuine
irrelevant.
concern.
No, it's not a genuine concern because, like I said,
How is that not a genuine concern?
What do you mean by
Having
privacy?
somebody in your house, living in your space. One, you just brought up this, oh, well, you can have someone help keep your house from getting robbed. What if that person staying in your house is the person you should be watching out for? What if they're the one who's like,
Okay,
I want to
well,
take
that's-
all your stuff?
okay, well, that's unfortunate. Anyone that could happen
That's
to anyone.
unfortunate.
Okay, yes, it's unfortunate. If you just so happen to get someone that wants to rob you, then guess what? You can also rob them back. You can also
What?
you can have security cameras and checking. If some random guy comes into your house and robs you, you're not going to know who they are. If your own
my
person that you're
gosh.
living with robs you, you're going to be able to bring justice
So
to
no
them.
locks, but you'll have security cameras.
No, I'm not
just
saying no
in
locks.
your house.
Why are you saying no locks? Obviously, you still have
Because
locks.
your whole thing was people are going to rob your house.
Yes.
If you don't have someone in there,
Okay,
as if
look,
they're just going to walk
I could
up,
probably
open the
I could
front
leave
door.
my door open and I probably still wouldn't get robbed if I was in the house. Like no one, you just don't get
What?
the odds of you getting robbed when someone's at home is so much.
People get
lower.
robbed all the
Have you
time.
ever
when
been
they're
robbed,
at home?
Brad? Have you ever been robbed?
Yes.
Were you at home?
Yes.
You weren't. No, you were not.
Yes, I was.
No, you were not.
Yes,
You are
I
lying.
was.
You are lying.
I was at home
When was
sleeping.
this?
I have told this story many times before.
You've
A
told
lot of
this
people have heard
made-up
this story.
Well,
Yes,
I've been
the first time I was
100% of the times that I've been robbed, no one was home.
I am telling my story. First time I was robbed, no one was home.
You're going off topic.
Second time, you asked.
You're trying to get sympathy from the chat. You're trying to get sympathy for getting robbed.
Oh my goodness! Can you believe this, Muffin? Listen, I was first time I was robbed. I wasn't home. Second time I was robbed. I was.
Oh, the first time you weren't
so there.
home.
It was the same person both times.
Okay, well, clearly they've got a vendetta about you.
Clearly. Look, George, you just. I'm sorry to say, but your whole shtick is people will be safer by forcing them to live with people because safety? As if that really makes them any more safe. I've already addressed how just because you have someone living in your house with you doesn't mean they're going to be in there all the time. So this idea that they're just going to be around all the time to keep
I'm
your
not
house
saying
from
they're going to
being
be there the whole time.
is incorrect.
No, I'm not saying they're going to be there the whole time. I'm saying.
So what if they're working out when you're working, so they're out of the house, boom, your place gets robbed. Congrats. Having somebody else in the house didn't help you one iota.
No, but it will help you because in general, the overall percentage of time that someone will be in the house will increase. They're not going to be out.
How will it increase?
They're not syncing their lifestyle up to you exactly.
You can't necessarily say that it will increase. Say that they work at the same time.
It has to increase.
It's going to increase by a small fraction because odds are they're going to have the same working hours as you do, unless you find someone who works from home. So odds are there's going to be a big chunk of time where they're not at home. And if the criminal's watching,
think about all the people that work at home. You match them up with people that don't work at home.
Oh, so now you want to selectively match people up.
Half of the people that were going to be living in a home that's going to be empty like 8 hours of the day is now populated by someone who can protect the property.
Okay, well,
that's many houses that are just usually empty will no longer be like that.
Well, I would say that in your
I think it's a bit ambiguous. How does it work? You're saying people. The bill is that someone you are forced to live with someone. How does that work?
It says
you choose
that
yourself?
You cannot live alone, so you can pick who you want to live with.
What if you don't pick anyone?
Then you have to find a place to live. You are not allowed to live in a house if you're living alone. That's the way it works. Okay,
it's also there's another benefit to not living alone is that what happens if you get injured? In your home.
Call the police?
Well, no. What happens if you get injured to a point where you cannot call the police? And you don't call the police, you call the ambulance. But
what do you mean?
Okay, let's just say, for example, there is an accident where I don't know, a big heavy item falls off the top of the shelf and lands on your head, and then you fall over and you're on the ground and you're bleeding.
Odds are you're probably gonna die.
Yeah, if you lived on your own.
No, odds are even if you have
someone there, on your own, then die. Yes. Okay.
So,
well, then
no.
The person that you live with can quickly identify. They'll be like, "Oh, what was that sound? Let me go investigate."
No,
they go check it out, and there you are on the ground, bleeding out, and they're gonna call the ambulance, and you're gonna be saved. And you're gonna be glad you had to live with someone.
They're gonna call the ambulance. The ambulance will come and get you, take you to the hospital. They will then steal all of your possessions, and then your advice for them is gonna be just rob them back.
Wait, who's gonna steal your possessions?
They're gonna steal your stuff while you're in the hospital, and you're gonna be like, "Just
the
rob
person that
them
you're
back."
living with.
Yes, the person living.
No, not everyone's a thief.
You're the one who said just rob them back if your roommate robs you.
Not everyone is a thief. Okay.
No, I'm just gonna rob them back when my roommate calls the ambulance for me and I get taken to the hospital and I'm now not at home to protect my stuff.
I think it's quite
and my
silly
roommate
to rob
me.
the person that you live with. Don't you think?
What? What? So they can't rob you and then just leave and take all your stuff? If you're gonna rob
anyone, you don't rob the person you're living with.
Okay, well, what makes you think they're not just gonna? Okay, now that you're out of the house, they just leave and no one's at home and your house gets robbed. The point is, you keep making all these safety arguments, and the point is, you're actually.
The point is, you've only made one argument, and it's about privacy.
Yeah, Because let's go through this
you
situation.
have to live with someone, and oh no, you might have to see each other when you go get food from the fridge. That is so sad.
George, I got a question for you, okay? Would you be fine with sharing living space with a random person on the street? Just answer.
They're not going to be on the street.
No.
I have done that.
I'm saying if just point at a random person, would you be fine with having them come and share your living space and live with you? Would you be fine with that? Would most people be fine with that?
That's not the point.
No, it is the point. It is the point, George.
I can't talk for everyone. I don't know what everyone else is like.
Let's go through the scenarios, okay? Either A, people will have people that they know that need it.
Can you just go into more details about your privacy concerns?
Guess what? That's what I'm talking about. Give me a second to address it.
I'll allow you.
Because here are the situations that are going to occur. Number one, people will have a person that they know.
And can I just also quickly say,
interrupt me some more?
You initially.
You just asked me to clarify my privacy concerns.
You're changing. You won't let me talk for like a minute to explain it. You were like, you're gonna live with people. I was like, what if you don't want it? Then you go find someone to live with. And now you're saying just some random person off the street. So initially it was just someone you know, and
you're not giving me a chance.
Now you're trying to hurt my argument. You're just saying it's a random person.
You know what, George? You're right. Just whoever I move in with, when they rob me, I'll just rob them back. You're right, George. I concede. Go ahead. You want to have the floor? Go ahead and talk.
If the person robs you and you know it's them, then rob them back. You can steal your stuff back. But go ahead, continue your argument.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
So I get to talk now?
Yes.
You're not going to ask me a question and then interrupt me?
I just had to say that.
Okay, but you're not going to interrupt me this time, right?
Unless you start doing something else that needs addressing.
Unless I start
be careful what you say.
defeating your argument, then you're going to jump in and interrupt me.
You didn't start defeating it. You started harming it, which I then protected it.
I just need to know, am I going to be interrupted again?
Okay, go ahead. No, you're not going to get interrupted.
Are you sure? Do I have your permission?
You have my permission.
Oh, great, George. Do I have your permission to speak, Master?
You have my permission to speak.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I just want to make sure. Are you sure? I can go?
Are you like... What are you doing? You're just
I just want to make
wasting time. Why are you wasting time? You don't have an argument to talk about?
Okay, I'm going.
Go on. Okay. Stop asking me if you have permission. You have permission.
As I was saying, the scenarios that people are going to be in is either A, they will have a friend, relative, or otherwise that they will be able to share a living space with, or B, they will not have a friend, relative, or otherwise someone they know that they will be able to share a living space with. Okay? And this is where privacy becomes a important factor. You will have a bunch of people who don't have anyone in the area that they're in that they would feel comfortable sharing a living space with, that they would be required to find someone to share a living space with. Do you see the problem there? With essentially taking a bunch of people who will not have anyone they would be comfortable in their house or in their apartment, and now they're told, no, you have to have one of those people you're not comfortable with in your house or apartment. There you go. So that's when I said, when I said, imagine some random person on the street coming in and living with you. That's what it's essentially going to be. You will have people just with strangers in their house who are not going to be down with that. How are you okay with that? You wouldn't be comfortable having a stranger live in your house, and yet you want to put other people. You've lived with strangers. You just walked into someone's house and was like, "Hey guys, I'm here."
Not quite.
I'm just gonna live in your house.
I've lived with people that I had no idea who they were.
Okay, who were these people?
I don't know. They were just people that I had to live with.
They were just people you had to live with?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to go into more detail?
Well, I could. I don't see why it's relevant.
Okay, if it's relevant, you're the one who brought it up. So
well, I'm just saying I've lived with people who I had no idea who they were until I lived with them.
I'm curious to hear the background behind this situation because it sounds interesting.
University.
Okay, well, university is a teeny bit different considering
I don't think so.
You're on a secure campus.
It's not on campus.
B, okay, but you're in a more secure setting where at least you know that this person has a vetted interest in not robbing you and taking your stuff. This isn't just living out in the street somewhere in some random apartment.
Why did they have any less inclination to rob me than someone off the streets?
Well, I guess you could just rob them back, so...
Oh yes, exactly. Yes, that's like the situation where like when the thing that you can do to someone can easily be done back to you, you in general don't do that bad thing because they can just do it back to you.
Wait a minute.
Like for example, if I just came up to you and slapped you in the face, that would probably be a bad idea because you would probably then slap me back in the face.
Did you buy a bunch of ramen while you were at university?
Not a bunch. Why?
But you bought a bunch of ramen on my recommendation, right?
I don't think that was me.
Am I mixing you up with someone?
Probably.
Oh, that might have been Ponk. But anyway, you know what? Ponk's a great example. His roommates kept stealing his food. What should he have done, George? Rob
He should have stolen their food back.
Just steal everything.
We don't know who they are talking about, but we're just gonna ignore that.
Cheap food, and then he could have stolen their expensive food.
Let's
They're
just
college students.
let
They don't
them
have
talk
expensive food.
about their stuff.
Well, I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I think you're going off topic though. Just
I am.
because
I was mixing you up with someone else for
let
a
me just say
second.
this.
My apologies.
Your only argument was about privacy, okay? Now, you can live with someone and still have privacy. Like, for example, when I was at university, we have locks on our doors, okay? Yes, we still share, like, the same communal areas, the same bathroom, the same kitchen, the same whatever.
So it would have been impossible for someone to get in your room.
I did not get robbed once, and it was fine. And I had no idea who they were. They were just people off the street, essentially, and there was no problems.
So it was impossible for them to get in your room and go through your stuff.
Yes, I had a lock on my door.
Okay, and it was a high security lock with a very beefy key.
Well, the fact that it is or isn't is neither here nor there. It could have been. The point is, it could have been.
It is here nor there. What type of lock was it, George?
If you want to upgrade the lock,
probably a cheap interior.
If you want to upgrade the lock on your door, you can go for that. You can have a bank vault door if you want bad. No one's stopping you from installing a good door.
Okay, but that's not the reality of the world we live in. A, people aren't going to be able to afford really expensive, high-security interior doors. B, that's not going to make someone feel secure that you have some flimsy interior door protecting your room and you have to sleep in the same space as someone who in the middle of the night might decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to come in there and see what's going on.
Yeah, well, that could happen even if you weren't sharing houses with people.
But having somebody outside of your house gives you an extra layer of security.
Your house is always vulnerable if someone wants to come into your house, regardless of regardless
if someone tries to come into my house without my permission, with the intent of doing harm, I have recourse in that I can shoot them.
If you live on your own, you are a lot more susceptible to getting muffined. Okay?
Getting muffined how?
By someone who wants to muffin you.
What do you mean?
If someone wants to rob you and you live on your own, it's a lot easier than if you don't live on your own.
Didn't you literally just say a couple minutes ago how having somebody in your house would help prevent you from being robbed?
Yes, it does.
So let me get this straight. You're gonna have someone alone in your house to help make your house less robbable, right? Because there'll be someone there at pretty much most of the time throughout the day. But at the same time, you just said being alone in your house puts you at greater risk. So you're essentially saying that person who's going to be alone to keep an eye on the stuff is going to be at great risk because they're going to be alone.
Oh my god, no.
That's literally what you're saying.
No.
So the two sides of the argument you're making.
If you live on your own and you leave, the house is now empty. The house is basically the easiest thing to gain access to. You can just smash a window and you're in. You don't even have, like, it's so
What does
easy.
someone being in the house have to do with them not being able to smash
Because
a window
if
and
someone,
get in?
when you're robbing a house, Bad, if you see that the lights are on, maybe you see someone through the window, you probably don't want to go to that house unless there's a specific reason that you're going to that house.
Do you live in a fantasy world where people don't get robbed if they're at home? Because it seems
happens
like
a
you
lot
live
less.
in this.
It happens a lot less.
Okay, so you're just going with it. Oh, it doesn't happen because it happens a lot less. You can't
No,
really use
I'm not
it
saying
as
it
your
doesn't
argument.
happen.
And the point is,
my
guess what?
argument.
If people are always in their house like that, then if no houses are empty, then the criminals are just going to start robbing houses with people in them.
No, they'll just
which
rob
means
something
more
else.
people are going to be because think about it. The only reason criminals might choose to rob an empty house is because empty houses are available. If you create a situation where there are no empty houses because most people have people living in their houses, then guess what? The criminals now have no choice but to rob houses that have people in them.
Well, no,
Congratulations,
they
George.
would just
You've
stop
just
robbing
put people
houses.
at risk.
If you wanted, okay, let's just pretend, for the sake of argument, you were going to rob a house. Okay. Now you have house A, which has 2 people inside of it,
Okay.
and house B that has 0 people inside of it. Which one would you prefer to rob?
Obviously,
Now, the contents are identical. It's the exact same house. Everything is the same, except for that there's 2 people in one of them. Which one do you want to rob?
probably the one with no people in it.
Oh, that's very interesting that you would say that, because that's actually the reason for living with someone else. Well, that's a benefit of living with someone else. You are
All right.
much more likely to be not robbed. You're much
Okay.
less likely to be robbed.
You answer
Because
my
the
question,
robbers
then.
don't want to rob. Okay, yes. Your
If
question
you have-
is
if you have 2 houses,
if everyone,
No, listen. If you have 2 houses, one of them has 1 person in it, and the other has 1 person in it, because the other person in each house
You're
is
gonna
at
say,
work.
which one should
and
you
you are
rob?
a robber. Which one will you rob?
Well,
them,
no,
because those are the only 2 houses.
No, this is where the
Meaning now,
situation changes.
instead of having an
the
empty
situation
house,
has now changed, okay?
No, it hasn't
so
changed.
in my situation, they want to rob the house because it's got no one in it.
Yes.
Now, the houses have people in it, they can just rob something else, okay?
Rob something else?
Yes, they'll rob something else that has less
They're going
risk.
to rob one of the houses
They'll wait until like
robber.
night. They'll just wait until nighttime and go rob a shop when no one's at the shop. It's very risky to rob something with people there.
You know what? It doesn't matter if they get
Especially
robbed.
in America,
they can
when
just
people
rob
have
the
guns.
robber
Why
back.
Why would robbers want to go into the house?
I didn't
and get
realize
shot?
you lived in America.
I'm not. I'm just relating
Exactly.
to you,
You
making
live
it
in
more
the
relatable
UK.
so you can understand
So
it.
in your situation where people are living in the UK where they don't have access to firearms, you have now mandated that everybody has to live with somebody, meaning most houses, in your view, this is your argument, you are saying this as a benefit. In your view, most houses will have people in them at least some point throughout the day so that houses will not be empty, right? Meaning robbers who are trying to rob and get stuff are going to go, wow, I now don't have any empty houses to pick from. I'm going to pick a house with someone in them. And therefore, your solution is putting more people at risk because instead of robbers having empty houses that people could just work on making more secure with alarm systems and better locks, now those houses are going to have people inside them at the same time while they're being robbed. So congratulations.
Well, like I already said, the houses.
Do you
won't be
understand
robbed
what I'm
as
saying?
often. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you're
Okay,
wrong.
thank you.
I understand. You're just wrong.
You just think I'm
unfortunately.
wrong.
You're wrong because the robbers, will just be going to rob something else instead of robbing houses with people in them.
What are they going to be robbing?
Like I said before,
Something else.
they'll wait until night when the shops have closed or something else. For example, shops close at nighttime. Will then
Really?
go to the shop and rob the shop because no one's at the shop.
They'll go to the shop and rob the shop that
Yes.
doesn't have any money
No, shops
because
have,
it's nighttime.
shops have many valuables in them.
Okay, so why aren't they just robbing the shops already? Why are they bothering
Well, they
to
are.
rob houses?
They are.
But why are they bothering to rob houses?
Because they're
If
empty.
there's so many shops available at night, why do houses get robbed at all? Oh,
Because
that's
the
right.
houses are
Houses
empty.
get robbed because
the
they
houses
have
get robbed
valuables
because
in
they're
them.
empty.
Okay, then explain this to me, genius. Why do houses get robbed if they have people in them at all? Oh, it's because some robbers don't care if there's people in the houses. In your fantasy land, with crazy logic, houses that had people in them would not get robbed, which is not the reality of the way that the real world works. I could link you a dozen videos on YouTube of people in their houses getting burglared while they are there. Okay?
Yes,
So-
people get robbed whilst they're there, but you're failing to acknowledge that it is a lot less likely.
And someone just made a great point in the chat of, another reason why stores don't get robbed as much? Because stores have great security systems and great safety metrics in place to protect their valuables. Like, they have really good safes that are stored in such a way that it's really hard for someone to bust in and steal any significant valuables. So what you're basically saying to everybody is make sure you get the best security system you can, because otherwise your house is going to get broken into while you're there.
Wasn't it you that said, why do they get robbed if there are stores?
Yes, he's making a great point. The person in chat brought that up.
Okay.
What? Okay, anyway.
Just
What?
nothing.
What do you mean?
Just continue.
Well,
No,
anyway,
think
so
about
you're saying
This
the
little
shops...
muffin was saying that people would go and rob stores, right?
Yes,
That's
because
what he
the
said.
houses would have people in there. People in
but
houses
they don't
is
rob stores
security.
because they have good security system.
The
That's
people
what the
are the
person
best
in
security
chat said.
system that exists. No one wants to go... Like you said, you would much rather rob a house with no one in it.
No.
than
Finish
people in
that
it.
thought. You were going to say no one wants to rob a house with people in it. But people do rob houses with people in it,
Yeah, because
George.
they mistake the house
Do you know
being empty.
Here, I'm going to fill you in on some fun facts. Do you know what the number one growing type of home burglary is? Do you want to know what it is based on the data? I'll
Where's
tell
this
you.
data? I want to see the data before
I
you
will
say
show
it.
you. I will pull this up for you. The number one fastest growing is a group home invasion where they invade the home with people in it, tie up people, and then loot and ransack the house. Is the fastest growing. Do you know why it's the fastest growing? Because it is the most profitable. Because instead of having to just bust in, the alarm goes off, and they have 5 minutes to dash and grab whatever they can, they have hours to pick the place clean of any valuables.
Well, you can do that in a shop as well.
Really? You can do that in a shop with a really good security system?
If you're going to go and literally go in there and tie people up, rob them, you can do that anywhere.
Why
If
do
you're
you
going to push
think
the boundaries
people do
that far, then they don't care where they're going to do it. They
Why
can do
do
it in a
people rob at all, George? They do it because they want to get money. They do it because they want to get valuables, and breaking in, tying the family up, and then looting it for an hour or two gives them plenty of time to pick the place clean of valuables, okay? So your solution, all I'm getting at with this is that your main point of people will be safer if there are more people living in the house and they'll be more protected from robberies is total nonsense, okay? If you want to bring some other arguments to the table, that's fine. Just this is a bad one.
Okay, well, in that case, we can then talk about your argument. Your only argument was that it's bad privacy.
Okay.
So go ahead. Do you want to talk about your privacy issues?
And safety. A, having somebody that you're not comfortable with living in the same space as you. B, for privacy, having someone that you're not comfortable with or that you don't trust living in the same space as you. Those are two good concerns. You're going to make some arguments against them? Let me answer this. Would you be comfortable having someone you didn't trust living in the same space as you?
Well, this is very interesting that you bring this up. So you're saying you don't want to live with someone you don't trust. When you're living with someone, their actions can have bad reactions, okay? If they do something they are then liable for what they did, and they are ready to accept the consequences from whatever you need to do based on what they did. Okay.
What? What do you say?
Listen,
Is there a point?
Listen, when someone does something bad, it's like, okay, I don't think I can quite say the quote because it might not be appropriate, but it's the thing where you don't muffin where you eat, you know?
Okay.
You don't want to do bad things where you live, especially because when that happens, it's where you live, okay? It's just going to come back and get you twice as badly, okay? You don't do bad things where you live because then they just happen back to you. So when you're living with someone, they're much less likely to perform bad actions to you whilst you're living with them.
Okay. There are literally a billion domestic violence victims who would say that what you just said is absolute nonsense. But continue.
Well, that's not a privacy issue. That's a whole nother issue.
No, go on. Continue.
That's a whole nother issue.
That's not a privacy issue. I said privacy and safety. That is definitely a safety issue.
Well, mine was a safety issue as well. I'm saying there is improved safety. I think the decreases in robberies will outweigh the increases in random people attacking each other that they live with.
So the increase in people who are forced to live with people they don't trust will the problems that will come from that will be offset by the safety people have from robbing, even though you're much more likely to be hurt, injured, or killed by somebody who you're living with. Interesting. Okay.
Well, that's only more likely because they're right there.
Yeah, exactly. If they weren't there, the odds of you being injured by them go down to zero.
So you're just going to sit in your house all day and never leave it just so you don't get hurt by someone on the street?
I'm saying, A, rather than someone being able to live alone because they don't want to be around people they don't trust, you want to force them to live with somebody that they don't trust, thereby drastically increasing the chance of them being hurt by that person.
Okay, when you live with someone you don't trust, it's likely they also don't trust you. So that you're just going to end up with people, they might not trust each other, but if they do something bad to each other, then they can expect that they would do something bad back. So that phenomena is going to stop people from doing bad things.
So if they do bad things will happen to them.
Yes.
Okay, while that's a very flowery viewpoint, that doesn't speak truth to the reality of millions of people are hurt every year by the people that they share a living space with.
And also millions of houses are robbed whilst they're empty.
Yes, but most people are hurt by the people they're sharing a living space with, drastically outweighing the risk compared to someone breaking in their house and robbing
the odds
them.
of you getting attacked by some random guy that you don't even know
are
that
much
you just
lower
happen to live with are lower than if it's someone that you have some kind of relation with.
Okay, no.
Which is where you're getting your statistics from. Your whole shtick
is that
you're
the
like,
person
I don't want to have
your
to share my
house.
kitchen with someone.
Your whole shtick is the person in your
private
house won't do anything bad to you because something bad might happen to them. Or you might do something bad to them, which is just not the reality, George. Okay.
Oh, you would know about the reality, wouldn't you?
Yes, literally, there are millions of women who are victims of domestic violence and men who are victims of domestic violence who literally you going, oh, don't worry. The person who is doing that really wouldn't be doing that because you might do something bad to them. Okay? There's a very popular quote from Mahatma Gandhi that or what was it? An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Okay? Meaning this viewpoint of, oh, guess what? People will be safe because the other person's going to be like, oh, I can't do something to them. They might do something to me. So I'm sorry. You're crazy. That's absolutely ridiculous.
No, you're being ridiculous because you're just being like, you're just trying to negate the fact that you're just trying to say that my argument is invalid because you think it's wrong. You might think it's wrong, but it is not wrong. If you were living with, let's say, me, okay, and let's just say you wanted to steal my stuff, you probably wouldn't, because I would know that you stole it. Like, who else is gonna steal it? No one else is in the house, Bad. I know you stole it, and then you're gonna get. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to you to
What?
to resolve the situation.
Wasn't your whole thing just that people wouldn't do bad stuff because they'd be worried about people doing bad stuff back?
Yeah, that's my point. My point is...
But that doesn't speak to the real world,
my
George.
My point is that
people
you
do bad
would
stuff
know,
all the time to each other.
You would know that I would have to resolve it if you stole my stuff. So then you wouldn't do it in the first place.
Okay, then explain to me why so many people don't live that way. Explain to me why so many husbands beat their wives, or so many boyfriends beat their girlfriends, or
because they're assholes.
What does that got to do with this?
Why so many spouses victimize their partners?
Not related.
Why so many people hurt the people they live with?
What do you? This is
no. I'm touching on your point. Why, George, do people do this despite this whole? People will not do bad things because they know that someone might do the bad thing to them. That is not the reality. That is not the world that we live in. And we know this based on the data of people who are in jail,
very different
people
when
who are arrested.
You're talking about, like you just said, boyfriends and girlfriends, husbands and wives, blah, 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 blah. It's different with those types of people because that's just how it is, okay? When it's just actual people that don't have some kind of... Yes, it is.
I have a question. Just say blah, 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 blob or blee, blah, 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 blob. Because that changes the whole sentence, you know?
A relationship like that is different to just a normal... random person and a random person, okay? It's
exactly.
Different.
There's a lot less trust. Think about that, George. People who are married or in a committed relationship choose to live with each other. Your thing is going to take two people
issues that
who
arise
don't want
because of
to
the
necessarily
relationship.
live together,
The issues
and
that
you're going
arise
to force them to
are
live
due
together.
to the relationship.
Okay.
Not because they are living together.
It's a very narrow world.
It may be affected by the fact they are living together.
I'm just going to touch on this. All of you people saying, can we not take this in such a serious way, or saying it's escalating? Have you guys ever seen any of these debates? I'm just going to say nothing is off the table, okay, for a debate. So to say don't bring that into it. No, I'm sorry. We're bringing it into it. Anyway, sorry. I had to address the audience for a smidge.
Some people in the chat have been talking about
hold on. I'm sorry for interrupting.
The environment. It's fine. I'll interrupt you.
I'll let you touch on that in a second. But again, guys, that is a very real and relevant point I brought up. So just because you don't like it or it's a personal subject doesn't mean it's not relevant to the world that we live in, which is why I brought it up. Okay, continue, George. I apologize. Go ahead.
So a lot of the people in the chat have also been mentioning the environmental impact of living together. So let's just pretend no one lived with anyone else, right? There are 7 billion houses, or whatever, assuming everyone has a house. Now everyone lives with at least one other person. There is at most 3.5 billion houses, but in reality there'd probably be less because there'd be houses with more than 2 people in them. So now the environmental impact is greatly reduced. We have much more land that we can use for other good things, and people living together are more efficient.
Okay. I mean, we can be in favor of having more apartment complexes to lower the environmental impact.
It's not about apartment complexes.
No, we can be in favor of having more apartments.
We already have apartments. What do you
having to be in favor of forcing people to live together with people they don't trust.
So now you're turning it into instead of people having to live with each other, you're just like, okay, now everyone has to live in an apartment. That's a whole different. That's a whole different thing.
I'm saying we can be pro. Hey, we should build more places that are less environmentally
Well, this is a different argument. So
without
you
going,
can stop talking.
We should force people to live with people they don't trust.
Different argument. Different argument.
That's totally relevant.
It's
your
irrelevant.
whole shtick is, imagine if every person lived in their own house. That's 7 billion houses.
Yes, think about how much waste that is. How much land
but that's
might
not
not even
the
be
reality.
possible. It might not even be possible in some places.
The environment.
Like I know the US has a lot of free space, but not everywhere is like that.
Houses that are being built are being built on smaller plots of land than ever before. More apartment complexes are already being built than ever before.
Are you denying the fact
we're already trending in that direction?
Are you denying the fact that
we
people
don't need to
sharing
force people
houses
to live
uses
together
less houses?
with people they don't like?
Are you denying that people sharing houses uses less houses?
Are you denying the fact that having people live with people they don't trust puts people at risk?
Yes.
So you're fine with putting people at risk?
No. I'm saying you're wrong.
You're saying that I'm wrong and that forcing people to live with people they don't trust?
The matter. I've already explained
no,
it.
you've dodged around the matter. I want you to answer this question. Do you think having two people who don't trust each other live together is going to lead to safety issues?
Like I've said many times.
Yes or no, George?
That people living with each other, you don't
will not hurt each other because they're worried the other person might hurt them. Even though all of the empirical data does not show that. George, come on. You're dancing around the issue.
Whenever you come into these debates, you just bring up all these statistics and these research papers that just don't exist.
If you want to go and look up the data yourself, you can look it up.
And if I can add one thing about this, we literally decided the topic like 2 minutes before, so how can you even know all this data?
I read a lot of articles.
Listen, Bad, you always bring up this data, okay? And in the moment, you know, I'm not going to look it up. I don't have time to go look it up right now. And then, for the sake of the argument, it makes you look like, oh yes, excuse me, Professor Dr. BadBoyHalo here. I'm here to inform you with all my facts and data. No, it's not common sense.
Okay, I want a clarification about the topic. You can choose who you live with, and you're not stick to them, right?
What do you mean?
Like, you choose who you live with, and you can change at any time. The only thing is that you always have to live with someone, right? Like the topic.
That's true, but you're always going on. Ooh, you're gonna have to live
I
with
just
someone
wanted
you
to press
don't trust.
there.
You can live with who you want, Bad.
Yes, and I already addressed this at the start of my argument, which you apparently weren't paying attention.
Go on.
If you had been paying attention, you would have recognized when I said there will be people without family or friends who will
doesn't necessarily
be forced
mean you don't
to live with
trust
people
them.
they don't trust.
I mean, yeah, you may not trust them. Like, yes, it's hard to just trust a stranger off the
There's
bat.
someone
but
with
there may not be any
crippling anxiety who would be super stressed out at the thought of having someone sleeping in the room next door to them. They just have to deal with it.
You can have a lock on their door.
Yeah, and that's really going to stop somebody who wants to break into the house.
People that have anxiety don't live in apartments where someone's next in the wall next to them.
What's your point?
The point is, you're saying
your whole shtick is they shouldn't worry about it anyway.
Just because
you basically don't care about people like that.
Just because they're in the same apartment doesn't make it any different if they've got a lock on their door. Because people in apartments, you have people on every side of your wall. You have people above you, people below you, people to the left, people to the right.
Okay, and that's going to be great if you get to live with somebody who you trust. Okay, if you don't get to live with someone who you trust, well, you're kind of hosed, aren't you?
You can be neutral, okay? You can not trust someone. You can be neutral. You can not trust
somebody, but they're still fine to live with. Even though I don't trust them, and even though this puts me at more risk.
I mean, the people that I live with, I don't necessarily trust them, but it was fine. They didn't do anything bad. I don't know them.
Okay, so that's great. They didn't do anything to you.
Obviously they could have done something.
Yeah, they could have.
But that could still happen regardless. So anyone can do something to you whenever they want.
Yeah, if they had robbed you, you just would have robbed them back.
Okay, yes, but the point is, it's much less likely for someone who lives with you to rob you than just someone on the street who can rob you and then go back to their own home and
Exactly.
be nowhere near
It's significantly
near the crime scene.
No, you're right. It's significantly more likely that the person you're living with will kill you or injure you in some way.
Not.
Yes, it is. It is significantly more likely they will kill you or injure
only
you
just
instead.
because they interact with you more.
Exactly.
Well,
That's the point I'm making.
Like saying your mum's more likely to kill you than just someone you've never met before. Obviously, that's the case.
George, if you had to choose, you would want to live with somebody who you trusted, right?
If that was an option,
Because you know you're going to be at less risk, possibly, of them hurting you, injuring you, taking your stuff, violating your privacy, correct?
Yes.
But you wouldn't, if you had a choice, want to live with somebody who you didn't trust. Because you know that you don't know them. You don't trust them. Therefore, you don't know what they're capable of. You don't know what they're going to do. So why put yourself in that position? Why should people be forced to be put in that position if they don't have a friend, don't have a family member, don't have a relative that they can move in with? Or that is available to move in with. You're just saying, forget those people. We're going to stick them in with people they don't trust, which is going to lead to more conflict because you'll have two people who don't know each other or trust each other being put in situations where maybe there's a power dynamic, maybe there's a physical force dynamic difference there that leads to more conflict. And then we have more domestic incidents than we otherwise would have had because we're putting two people who don't trust each other.
Obviously, there's going to be more domestic incidents because there's more chances for it to happen. But then we're going to have many other issues. And these domestic issues, like I've already pointed out, are less likely to occur because you're not just going to start some fight with some random person that you have to live with now.
Oh my
gosh. That's ridiculous.
Why do you keep saying that?
Why would you forcibly cause issues in your own living space?
Why do people do that already? George, you keep saying that. You're not making sense. People already do that. People already start beef with people they live with. Your whole thing is, why would people do that? Why do they do that, George? Answer me that. Riddle me this, Batman. Why do people do that already?
I can't tell you why people do what they do. What I can tell you is that people are less likely to cause shenanigans in their own living space because
they do that, George.
Dad, you're becoming very irate here, and it's not productive.
Oh my gosh! Because you keep ignoring this. You're like, why would people pull shenanigans with people they live with? Oh, wait a minute. People already do that. But you ignore that point. I keep bringing it up, and you just
obviously people do it because it's
under the rug.
What I'm saying,
just ignore this.
You're
sweep this up.
What I'm saying is that people are less likely to do this, and the whole benefit of doing this is there are
less
many
likely
benefits.
Than
like people
what?
mentioned, the environmental impact.
No, less likely than what?
The fact that you're less likely to get robbed.
Less likely than what?
Than if you lived alone.
So let me get this straight. This is literally what you just said. People are less likely to get in conflicts with the people they're living with than if they lived alone?
Okay, no, obviously I'm not saying that. Because
crazy?
if they lived alone, there's no one to get in a conflict with. That's ridiculous.
Why did you say that?
I did not say that.
That is literally what you just said.
I would have
You
never
just said
that.
then if they lived alone. That is literally what you just said. Literally.
I don't think I said that.
Yes, that is. Can we get a replay? A60.
The replay
I need a
system is
replay.
not. The replay system is broken.
No, it's not broken.
Actually, I have to look it up. Oh my god.
Go look this up. This is literally what this crazy muffin just said.
There's a
Okay, when is he supposed to have said it?
Like within the past 2 minutes.
Okay, continue to talk and I'm gonna look it up.
Okay. Anyway, George,
I don't even know what I'm supposed to look it up.
I don't even think you know what argument. Like, I'm just gonna say, you've missed a ton of good arguments chasing after these really bad ones.
You only had one argument, and
privacy and safety are like two mountain arguments next to your little molehill, and all of the negative advantages. The arguments you brought up have all these negatives. And
they don't.
You
your
just ignored. You're ignoring your mountains in favor of your molehills, and I brought up my two mountains that you're like, oh, those are little molehills. Privacy and safety are massive arguments in favor, and you've brought up these little arguments. I've been reading the chat, and they're all bringing up the really good arguments. Why are you not reading their arguments? They are literally handing
I
this
don't need
to
these
you,
arguments.
George.
You don't even have an argument.
Privacy and safety.
Oh, privacy.
Read the
What, are you
chat,
sponsored
George.
by privacy or something?
They're handing it to you on a silver platter, George. Just take it. Oh, well. All right, guys, we're going to go into closing arguments here because we're 7 minutes over the ending point. George, do you want to go first or second?
I don't even remember what I was looking for. I just watched the past 2 minutes.
Yeah, bad.
You want to go first or second, George?
You can go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Well, guys, I think I've covered my points pretty clearly. Okay. To summarize essentially what I was saying is that, yes, most people are going to be able to live with a family member or live with a friend or live with a roommate that they will be able to pick in George's situation where this law is passed. But there will be people who don't have family living close by or who don't have friends in the relevant area who are going to have to live by themselves. But, oh, wait a minute, by George's law, they would be required to live with someone. So because they don't have family, because they don't have friends nearby, they will have to, by law, live with somebody who they don't know or trust, okay? You are going to have situations like that. And even though George keeps ignoring this, the fact that you have two people who don't trust each other living together, you create potential conflicts, you create potential chances for harm. And as much as George wants to keep ignoring that and saying that, oh no, two people who are living together aren't going to hurt each other because they know that that opens up an opportunity for the other person to hurt them, that is a complete he is completely ignoring the reality we live in, where there are tons of people who live together who hurt each other despite the fact that the other person could also hurt them. So he's completely ignoring that. He's ignoring all the domestic abuse and domestic violence that goes on in favor of some crazy little fantasy world. So that's the point I'm getting at, is that I don't want to live with someone who I don't trust. I don't want to live with somebody who I don't necessarily know that well because of privacy concerns and because of safety concerns. The biggest one being safety there. I think George has not done a good job of addressing those points or those concerns. He's instead brought up this pie in the sky thing about how, oh, you'll have someone at home to prevent you from being robbed. Even though, as I brought up, the biggest risk is going to be that person who you don't know or trust living in the house with you. And George did not address that point to my satisfaction. Anyway, George, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
go ahead.
your biggest concern is safety. I already went over that multiple times. You're less likely to cause shenanigans where you live, okay? Because obviously that comes with repercussions. Now, when you live on your own and you leave, your house is now empty and it is vulnerable to whatever anyone wants to do to it. But if there is people living there, it is less likely to happen, okay? Now you're saying, oh yeah, there's all these domestic issues. Domestic issues already happen regardless. Obviously, domestic issues can't happen if you live on your own. That's just obvious. Like, unless you cause a domestic issue with yourself. So that's kind of irrelevant. But the domestic issues generally happen between people in some form of relationship, which in the current situation where people aren't forced to live with each other, that happens anyway. Okay, so now when you get forced to live with someone, you're likely to live with someone that you actually want to live with, and in the event that you can't live with someone that you want to live with, it's probably going to be someone that you don't know, and you're not going to have any previous sort of hatred for each other. You're just going to have to know each other or you're just not going to know each other, and you're just going to have to get to know each other, okay? And you're less likely in this situation to just want to sabotage each other because no one knows each other. If you start doing bad things to them, then they're going to start doing bad things to you, and it's going to just come in full circle, and whatever you do is going to cause problems to you. And because of that, you are less likely to instigate these bad actions to begin with. And people will just overall be safer, and houses will be safer, crime rate will drop to 0, and everything will be better.
Okay.
Okay.
Bad, you... No? Okay.
Well, I'm just going to take George's advice, and if they rob me, I'll just rob them. If the person I don't trust murders me, I'll just murder them too.
Oh, God.
Oh, wait a minute. That one won't work.
That doesn't work.
Yep, that one won't work. All right. Thank you, George.
Okay. Time for the song while people vote, right?
Yep. All right, guys. I'm going to post the poll on Twitter. It is who won at GeorgeNotFound or BadBoyHalo. Vote for the person you thought defended their argument the best, not who you like the most. Are you guys ready? It's going to be posted as a reply to my tweet about the debate show. So go and vote on that.
And I'm going to also post one on Twitch. People are going to be able to vote as well on Twitch.
Oh, nice. You can vote on both of them.
Yeah, like, so at least you can say the votes are being boosted or something. Okay?
And we already took care of that last week, so I don't think that's a big concern. But,
So on the Twitch
anyway,
chat.
here we go, guys. Go ahead and vote. Vote in both polls if you want. And go!
On the Twitch chat, you can just do /vote1 or /vote2. /vote1 is for BadBoyHalo, /vote2 is for GeorgeNotFound. George.
Yep.
Basically. And right now, it's Stones and I with Never Seen the Rain on your favorite hit music station.
All right, everybody. And we are back. And let's go ahead and check the poll results. And it looks like George, you won with 38.2% of the vote. But
Wow.
And 64 on Twitch.
They did that.
per your advice, George, I'm just going to, because you robbed the win from me, I'm just going to rob
What?
it back. And now it's mine again.
That's not how
That
it
way,
works.
no, I'm kidding. But that was people's advice on Twitter, was to rob the win
Rob it back.
But I you did get George. That was a fun debate. I enjoyed that. George, I'm confused. I was gonna say I was trying to get to the point, but why did you miss all of the great advice they were giving you in the chat? One of the great things people brought up.
I didn't
was
want
that
to cheat
people-
and just steal their points. And
What do you mean?
I won with my own knowledge anyway, so
Is
it's
it
fine.
you didn't want to cheat? Or
I didn't want to
think.
I didn't want to destroy you too badly. That would be embarrassing for you.
Because there's
I wouldn't want to
you
embarrass
didn't read the
you
chat.
on your podcast before.
I
You
don't
would-
know. There were some really good points. I was very impressed. But the chat, if I had been debating against the chat, I probably would have lost 100% to 0. But
The only times you read the chat was when I sent to him a few things from the chat.
What would you? So in reality, though, okay, what do you actually think about this policy? Do you think this would actually be a good policy? I don't know.
I mean,
getting.
probably
Go ahead.
not.
Probably not. See, and thinking about it, I'm leaning towards this might actually be a good
I
policy.
convinced you. There you go.
Well, you didn't convince me, but there were arguments that I was thinking about that I actually think this would actually be a good policy, because you could mandate it and then set up like community living centers where you could set up like the kitchens, and you would have a lot of shared space, but the rooms would be very secure and very private, so people wouldn't have to worry about someone breaking in, right? Like it'd have like really strong doors or something like that. But there are a lot of points that I think could be brought up that could actually, you could cut down on a lot of problems with society that people have with living alone that you could address. Like one great point they brought up was the elderly. The elderly having somebody nearby who could come and get them assistance, if they should get hurt, would be great.
I made
that was.
We just lost them. We just lost them completely. I got disconnected from their TS.
Connected.
Okay.
You
kind of
were
funny.
Hey, he's back.
I just got
Okay.
disconnected from the TS. Okay.
Welcome back. But
And if you live with a terrorist, you can just report the terrorist.
here you go. That's another positive. Look at our
Exactly.
special guest Dream popping in. Popped in right at the start. Too late to actually be the special guest. I see how it is. Jerk. But
So I was
anyway,
your second option.
no, you were my third option. Panda said he wanted to do it, but he fell asleep. So I couldn't find
George,
anyone
I'm
else.
disappointed in you. If I was debating this, I would have had 99%, and it would have been abysmal.
I was saying I really wanted to get your position, George. That would have been the easiest one to defend. So I'm a little upset I didn't get it. But I think you did a good job, but not as good as you could have done.
Well,
But anyway.
I won, so that doesn't really matter, I guess.
But yeah, I'm very proud of you, George. You won.
Thank
You
you.
changed my mind.
Good job, George. Dream, the chat is curious. Did you buy Sam a dog yet?
Oh my god.
That's what they're saying in the chat.
What?
They demand to know.
I already did.
I don't have a dog.
All right. So
Yet.
this
But I
next
am moving. I'm gonna get a dog because I'm moving. When I'm moving
Yay.
on soon, in the next like month or so, and then I'll get a dog.
what kind of dog are you gonna get?
I don't know.
Not a rat, hopefully.
Gonna get a Labradoodle?
Probably a hyperallergenic dog.
Labradoodle?
A what?
Probably a dog that barks.
Labradoodle. Anyway.
That sounded funnier in my
Sorry,
head.
is I won.
Yep. George won. All right. So next debate, we're gonna have George debate Dream on the next debate show, which will be Tuesday.
That's
Gonna
not
be
happening,
fun.
I don't think.
No, we're gonna see who wins. I want George to experience what it's like to get steamrolled and blended up.
Oh, you want me
So-
to feel how you feel?
Yeah, I want you to feel it. What do you guys think? Would you guys be down to watching Dream debate George? I think I'm tired of being the bad guy. I think the audience needs to see what it's like to watch somebody
Well,
else.
George would
These
just
two
get
villains
like
debate
curb
each other.
stomped. Like you don't even want to know.
Exactly. I want to see it. I want
George can't even
someone
stand
else
on
to
his own 2
experience
feet.
it. All right, next
Little
debate
Jakey.
show Tuesday debate. Be there. It's going to be Dream versus George.
Oh.
Unconfirmed.
We'll even give George we'll let George pick what side he wants to defend, so that he can experience
I'll
crushing
blindfold
misery.
myself, and I'll be wearing earplugs. So I can't even hear what I'm debating, and I'll still probably win.
Oh my
All
god.
right, see you guys on Tuesday or Thursday, sometime next week. Bye, everyone. Oh, wait, George, anything you want to promote?
I don't know, my stuff. It's
All right,
George
go
Not
check
Found
it
on
out.
like everything.
George Not Found everywhere. Check me
Everywhere.
out, Bad Boy Halo. A60, take us our way.
Yeah,
I guess our way.
Away.
we're just a bit late on Cindy, but that's usual. That's usual. We're just gonna ignore that. Don't forget that you can join Only Hate on the website, onlyhate.us. We have a YouTube channel. It's Only Hate US. Also Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Only Hate US as well. And the podcast, you just type The Weirdest Talk Show on Spotify, Deezer Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeart, and just everywhere. And right now, it's Cindy coming on your favorite music station.